Hi, welcome to my channel, Organized with Joy. In today's video, I wanted to do something a little bit different. So being quarantined over the last several weeks has given me an opportunity to just kind of slow down and to really reflect on my life and reflect on different things. And one of the things that I have been thinking about is regret in life. One of the things that I've learned as I've been pondering this is that hindsight is 20/20. I'm what I like to call a recovering perfectionist, and so it's really hard for me to let go of mistakes that I've made in the past, but I'm starting to realize that mistakes aren't necessarily a bad thing. They teach us, and they also help us learn to grow. Through this process, I'm trying to learn to accept that I won't always do things perfectly, accept that I don't have a crystal ball and I can't see into the future. That is why hindsight is 20/20. I want to learn to accept that I can't change the past. I can't go backwards, and just accept that all I can do is move forward from here. Another thing that I'm learning through this process of reflection is just trying to remember all the things that I did right. So often we just naturally think about all that we did wrong or all the negative parts, but you know, typically that's not a big portion of who we are. It's just a small percentage. And so I want to, moving forward, learn to look back and remember all of the positive things that I have done and have accomplished, and try to continue implementing those positive things as I move forward. With all that said, one of the biggest regrets that I have, again, hindsight 20/20, is that I didn't start my blog sooner than I did. I actually did have a blog a really long time ago, and it was primarily to keep track of everything my children were doing. We have extended family that lives far away, and so it was a way for them to see what was going on in our lives. But truthfully, I didn't keep up with it very well, and eventually I abandoned that blog altogether. Well, back in 2009, we moved into this home where we live now, and it was a complete fixer-upper. This home was built, I believe, in 1979, and the previous owners had done a few updates here and there, and before they put it on the market, they painted all of the wall space kind of a neutral color. So they had done their best to make it presentable to sell, but it did need a lot of work. So we moved into this home. It's been about 11 years ago now, and now as I look back, I think I should have been sharing all of the updates that I have done throughout our home via my blog, and I didn't do that. Some of that just had to do with, at the time, I really felt like I was just way too busy to spend the extra time to document everything that I was doing and then share it. But truthfully, I think part of it too was just my insecurity and fear about putting myself out there. I do know that I shared some of it via Facebook or other social media, just to people who were following me or people who were friends with me. This video is going to be really long, so I'll go ahead and split it into two parts. This is the first part, so look forward to seeing the second part. I'm going to start with our entryway and the transformations that happened there. This space definitely had transformations. I really struggled to find the right entryway table and mirror to go with it, so I'll show you different pictures of different renditions of this entryway. I couldn't find a before picture of before we painted our wainscoting for our entryway pictures, but this first picture I have was taken in the spring of 2010. This picture was taken shortly after we moved in, and I had painted the walls beige, which was a popular color at the time when we first moved into this home. This was the first table mirror combination that I had in this space. And the light fixture that is up there was previously chosen by the previous homeowners. I eventually would replace that light. The second entryway table I had, I don't actually even have a picture of it. I don't really know why. I maybe just couldn't find a picture, but I think I didn't have it long before I decided to do kind of a makeover on it. The previous table was like a greenish gray color, but I had gotten inspired by this picture of this blue table that I saw with really cool brass hardware, and I decided to give it a makeover, and eventually I replaced the mirror with this brass mirror. I did eventually get tired of that blue table, and I sold it on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. I can't remember which one, but I ended up selling it for as much money as the next table that I wanted, because that table was just from Target, and so it wasn't really all that expensive. So this is what the entryway looks like now. I bought a vintage runner to kind of round out that space to complete the look that I was going for. I did also end up painting our front door, as you can see in this picture. The door used to be a wood color, and I painted it this grayish green. I painted both the front and back side of that door the same color. And this is the entryway light that I ended up choosing. So I was able to figure out how to install different light fixtures on my own. I just did some YouTube searches, and it's actually quite easy. You just have to make sure you turn off the power so that you don't get electrocuted. The next space is our front room, and I think I painted this room 3 or 4 times. I don't remember exactly how many times I painted it. I just kept trying to find the right color for this room. In the span of the 11 years we've lived here, we have replaced all the furniture in this room. We have replaced the carpet with hardwood, and we have had several area rugs, which keep getting ruined by the kid-dog combo. This is what our front room looked like when we first walked through it. This is prior to moving in, so this furniture is the previous owner's furniture. And then this is what it looked like shortly after we moved in. I painted the walls a light gray with an obvious green undertone, and then I chose some dark green velvet drapes. We had this big clunky recliner that was previously in the game room of our other house, but the 2 sofas that were in our living room in our other house didn't fit in this living room, so we had to flip-flop them and put the sofas in our game room and then that recliner in that front living room. I eventually painted the walls this dark gray color, and it was this color for kind of a long time. And like I mentioned, we replaced the carpet with this hardwood look. And once we had the hardwoods, I wanted a rug to make it more cozy. And we had a couple of different rugs because, again, the dog-kid combo. We did end up finally replacing that reclining sofa with this beautiful sofa from West Elm. I actually found it at a really good price on Craigslist, so I was very excited to find that. For a period of time, I just gave up on the rug altogether. I just got tired of steam vacuuming it or of throwing out rugs. And so eventually I just went with the no rug look. I really like how rugs make a space cozy, but it just wasn't practical. I eventually repainted this room back to a lighter color. I really loved the color that I had eventually chosen in our kitchen, and I end up painting several spaces in our home this light gray that has a very slight green undertone to it. We also ended up getting rid of the very large entertainment center that didn't exactly fit in this space anyway. It was from our previous home, and we had a huge projection TV that was sitting on it. But we got rid of that projection TV, and so it wasn't really necessary to have that large of an entertainment center. And this entertainment center that we ended up with is a vintage highboy piece from a furniture store, a furniture boutique that I was working at the time that we purchased it. I recently finally just went back to the idea of having a rug, and I saw that Rugs USA had a really reasonably priced warranty package, and it included things like just kids spilling on it or dogs going to the bathroom on it. So I decided to just go ahead and take the plunge and order a new rug, and I was really glad that I did. So far, I guess it's been maybe 4 or 5 months since I've had this, and so far the dogs have not ruined it. My kids are actually old enough now that they don't really frequently spill things, so I'm really happy with the way that this space looks. Also, we have never owned a coffee table, but I recently found this vintage coffee table at Salvation Army, and I just couldn't pass it up, so I decided to add that to this room as well. The next area is our kitchen nook, and here you'll see what the wainscoting looked like before it was painted white. This is what it looked like when we first moved into the home. We eventually would paint the walls a couple of different times, and we obviously paint the wainscoting. And then in addition to that, there's a built-in desk that I end up painting. And the cabinet above the desk, it had glass paneled doors, and I eventually decided to take those doors off completely to have kind of an open shelf sort of look. This is what our kitchen nook looked like after the wainscoting was painted, but before the desk cabinets were painted, and I eventually replaced that light fixture as well. In this picture you can see the light fixture that I had replaced the old fan with. I got this light fan kit, and then I just attached a chandelier that I liked to that to get this look. And here is where I added our command center with our dry erase board calendars, and then some family pictures around that. Here is what the kitchen desk looks like now. The cabinets above, like I mentioned before, I took the glass doors off and painted the whole thing black so that there were open shelves. And this is what it looks like today. I replaced that fan chandelier that I had put up to replace it with this mid-century chandelier to kind of keep up with my ever-evolving style. Next up is my kitchen, and I was so proud of this transformation. I painted our kitchen cabinets by myself using a product by Rust-Oleum. It's called Cabinet Transformations, and I was so happy with the results. In addition to that, I also changed out all the hardware on our cabinetry. It did take quite a while to paint all of our cabinets. My kids were young at the time and had after-school activities, so whenever I would go pick them up from school, I made sure that all of the paint supplies were put away, so it did take several months to complete this project. This is what the kitchen looked like when we first moved in. A lot of the home just had this honey-colored wood everywhere. The wainscoting, the trim, just everything was this 70s, 80s honey-colored wood. And then, of course, this beautiful backsplash as well. This is what it looked like after I had painted the cabinets and changed all the hardware. As you can see, we still have this ugly backsplash, but I was really happy with the results of the painted cabinets. 5 years ago, when we had hired the contractor to come in and change out our flooring, we also used his guys to remove the tile backsplash in our kitchen and replace it with a white subway tile with white grout. I was really happy with the results. So this is what our kitchen looks like now with the painted cabinets and the white subway tile. The next room is supposed to be our dining room, but in our previous home, we used our dining room as a playroom. And when we moved into this home, I decided to make it a playroom slash homework room. So I set up their toy shelves in this room, and then we had gotten 2 desks at IKEA so that they each had their own chair and their own desk space to work at to do their homework. This is what the dining room looked like when we first saw it, and this is what it looked like right after we moved in. I ended up painting this room the same dark gray that I had used in our front room. I really loved that color, and so I just went ahead and carried it into this room as well. It is connected to the living room. I made this a dual purpose space by adding the toy shelves in here and then the desks with a chair for each of my children. After the kids outgrew the toys and we either purged those or put them in the attic, then I rearranged the desks and it was just a space to work on your homework. But my middle son was really the only one who used that space. My other 2 children would sit at the table in the kitchen, or they would sit on their beds or on a sofa. So it was just my middle son that was using that space for homework, and so it just kind of organically turned into his, I guess you could call, office space. So we eventually moved one of the desks out of there so that my other son had a place to put his computer to play video games, and my middle child had that homework room as the place where his computer was. When my middle child turned 17, I did a little makeover on that office space to make it more adult looking, and so this is how it turned out. I did this for his 17th birthday, and we also purchased that table to double as a desk for him for his birthday. Recently, I decided to replace the sconces with these sconces just to match some of the other lighting choices that I've made throughout our home. Well, I hope that this gave you some inspiration to jump in and start doing projects. If there are spaces in your home that you don't love, oftentimes there are creative ways to update your home, whether that is with a little bit of time or elbow grease, or sometimes it just takes money to get things done. But I have really thoroughly enjoyed transforming this home into what it is today. I love that it's a space that we can call our own, that it's a space that is cozy, and that it is a space that me and my family loves to come home to. And it still is a work in progress. Well, thank you for watching my video today. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, I would appreciate you considering subscribing. Thanks, have a great day. Bye.